Recording this morning went slightly wrong, and so we have failed to record my first attempt. But I want to read the New Testament reading again and speak on it because it's quite complex, and I couldn't sum it up in just a few words on the Facebook post. So here we go. Luke 16, verses 1 to 18. Then Jesus said to the disciples, "There was a rich man who had a manager, and charges were brought to him that this man was squandering his property. So he summoned him and said to him, 'What is this that I hear about you? Give me an account of your management, because you cannot be my manager any longer.' Then the manager said to himself, 'What will I do? Know that my master is taking the position away from me. I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. I have decided what to do, so that when I am dismissed as manager, people may welcome me into their homes.' So summoning his master's debtors one by one, he asked the first, 'How much do you owe my master?' He answered, 100 jugs of olive oil. He said to him, 'Take your bill, sit down quickly and make it 50. Then he asked another, 'How much do you owe?' And he replied, 100 containers of wheat. He said to him, 'Take your bill and make it 80. And his master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the children of this age are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation than are the children of light. And I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of dishonest wealth, so that when it is gone, they may welcome you into their eternal homes. Whoever is faithful in very little is faithful also in much, and whoever is dishonest in very little is dishonest also in much. If then you have not been faithful with dishonest wealth, who will entrust you with true riches? And if you have not been faithful with what belongs to another, who will give you what is your own? No slave can serve two masters, for a slave will either hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth." The Pharisees, who were lovers of money, heard all this, and they ridiculed him. So he said to them, "You are those who justify yourselves in the sight of others, but God knows your hearts. For what is prized by human beings is an abomination in the sight of God. The law and the prophets were in effect until John came. Since then the good news of the kingdom is proclaimed, and everyone who tries to enter it by force. But it is easier for heaven and earth to pass away than for one stroke of a letter in the law to be dropped. Anyone who divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery, and whoever marries a woman divorced from her husband commits adultery." In this passage we read the strange story of the dishonest manager and the commendation of him. What's this teaching us, to be dishonest in our business dealings? Of course not, because Jesus then goes on and says, "Whoever is faithful in little is faithful in much. Whoever is dishonest in little is dishonest also in much." So it's not a commendation of dishonesty. But what it's saying is we as Christians should have this attitude that all of our wealth belongs to God. And therefore, we should use that wealth that God has given to us, all that is His, that we have charge over, and use it to bless others, so that they in turn, when we're in need, will bless us. We're not to cling on to wealth as though it was ours, as though we possessed it, but are to give it to others. And this is a really challenging statement. No slave can serve two masters. For a slave will either hate one and love the other, or be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and wealth. It couldn't be clearer. You can't serve God and wealth. Amen.